Well, so exciting. Welcome, ladies, to the portion. This is our weekly study hosted by the Rooted Cafe. And each week we dive into weekly Parsha or the portions, in Torah. We're kind of trying to attempt some practical application and insights for you. So if you're expecting some like super deep, we may go there nerdy sometimes, but we really want to give you practical applications that you can walk out in your homes, walk out in your lives. So, you're going to hear us oftentimes refer to the cafe members throughout the study. And so what we're referring to is the Rooted Cafe is a subscription membership. This is our study portion of that membership. So every Friday in this group, this is actually the free portion of our community. So, how do you watch every week? Well, if you're on and you're seeing it now, you already know, right? You can join by Zoom. So a lot of you think, oh, I don't want them to see my face. It's okay. You can click. You can still join us now in Zoom. Join us, come in, just turn your camera off. We don't have to see, but if the great part about being live, Brenda, like, what do you think is the best part?
You know what? It's because we're right now in society, we're separated.
Yeah.
And when we're on here, it feels like we're actually, we're here, we're talking to each other, we're loving on each other, we're seeing each other's faces, we have proof of life.
Yes.
And that's so important to us.
Yeah, I love it. I love that proof of life. Sometimes Brenda will send me a message and say, I need proof of life because she hasn't heard from me or something. And so I need proof of life.
When you're driving in crazy conditions in the middle of the night at 11:30 at night, and I haven't heard from you in 45 minutes, and you're driving on dark roads, leaving a patient's house, I need proof of life.
Needs proof of life. So also the other way, if we're live streaming right now on Facebook. Hello, everyone on Facebook. We aren't able to really jump in and talk to you so that we can focus on this, but we know you're there and we love you. And for everyone watching the replay, right, Brenda, we are so happy because we know this time doesn't work for everyone.
It doesn't,
we have women listening from all over the world, and it's Petra. She's with us right now. She's already started Shabbat, but she stops everything and she jumps on with us.
We love that.
I know, right?
Tell your husband thank you too, by the way.
I know. Thanks for letting
us. He shares
her. So, so we just want you to know, we know you're there, but would you do us a favor? If you're on the replay or anything, would you mind putting a little comment down, like when you're watching, or even if it's just a little heart or a little smiley face, so that we know you're there? It really does matter to us. I know we have a lot of silent watchers out there. We love you too, but we just want to know you're there. So would you just put a little heart, then we know you're there and we can say hi to you, or not if you don't want us to. But that means a lot to us. So we just want to reach out to you, make sure we're connected with you. And then there's some of you that listen via Apple Podcast. Now, that is a subscription service. It's $12 a month. If you're interested, please get a hold of one of us about that. It's really nice if you can't watch live and you don't really care for watching on Facebook as you're driving or doing your stuff. You could actually listen through your podcast. It doesn't have to be Apple, whatever podcast you listen to. Yeah. We have that also. Those members of our cafe subscription, our regular members over in the Rooted Cafe, they actually get that service as part of their membership. So,
and if you have any friends that aren't on Facebook and don't want to be on Facebook, you can recommend them to get the podcast.
Oh, good idea. That's a great idea.
That way they don't even have to deal. I mean, a lot of people don't want to deal with Facebook, and that's fine. Yeah. So, you can.
That's a really great option for them. Yeah, we love it. And the only reason we have to charge is because we do have to pay for the services and all the people to do that for us. So, we're digging into a new portion this week. Brenda, is it your new favorite?
Oh my gosh, my new favorite in a different way. Like I think this was really a hard Parsha for me. I have been very challenged by this Parsha. I was reintroduced to the Esau in me. Can I just say? Whoa. And it helped me.
She's crying already. We're not even like 5 minutes in. She's crying. 4 minutes in. She's crying.
And it helped me to come to grips. That's the tears. Come to grips with things in my life that I do not want, responses, attitudes, things I didn't even know existed within me. Those things started coming to the surface. And I am so grateful to the Torah, because that's what it does.
Yes.
It brings life. It speaks life. Well, what happens when life is spoken to you? All the dead stuff starts stinking really, really, really bad. And so that has to be removed, taken care of. It has to be dealt with. It has to be taken out of the camp, right? It doesn't belong in
Yes.
the Mishkan. And who's the temple?
Yes.
What are
Tazrat.
the
Tazrat.
temple?
Unclean. Unclean.
Unclean. And you're saying that to yourself, not to anyone else.
Right.
We're
Right.
saying it to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Unclean, sister. So that
Oh, I
this
know,
week,
right? I want to give you guys the verses. So if you do not have a
yeah,
reading schedule, you can email us at info@therootedcafe with a K-A-F-E.com. Email us, or in Facebook, it is actually under the files portion under your Facebook. You can download it as well. But if you need that so that you can follow along where we're at, I'm going to just let you know we're in Genesis 25:19 through 28 verse 9. If you are in Facebook, would you just like someone comment that in there, like write out what the, and also over here in Zoom, we have so many ladies in Zoom right now. I love
I'll do
it.
it, Charlie.
Yeah, we have Genesis 25:19 through 28:9. Our haftarah or portion, or the prophets section, is Malachi 1:1 through 2:7. And then in our Gospels, we're reading Matthew 10:21 through 38. Now, we are not getting through all of that.
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. We might be here till Tuesday.
yeah, we'll be like, what next portion? We're still in Genesis 1:1. Are you kidding? Right? I see Misty laughing. I can see every once in a while I can look up at the top and see you. So
Oh my goodness.
Lordy
Okay,
geez.
so the Torah portion, I love that you said that, Charlie, because I have a tendency to forget that when we have our listeners who are only listening on the podcast, if we don't tell them what the Torah portion is written, if we don't say it, then they might not know where we're at. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Hey.
You're a genius.
Hey, I have the Ogai anointing.
The
Olibab.
Ogai,
Bahala, the B
Olabab,
and
Olahab,
the BO
Olabab.
anointing.
Yeah.
Do I? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That is
That's
pretty
like
cool.
Torah humor, and I love it that
Sorry.
people would say things and I didn't understand what they're talking about. So everybody laugh. Whoever gets it, I want you to type it in Facebook and
Did you
type
get
it in
it?
Zoom. If you were laughing, it's because you understood about the Ogai anointing. When they built the temple, the B and the Ogai got this supernatural anointing to know how to do things they didn't know how to do. Right.
Right.
So that's it. So
Yeah. So
the
Charlie's got
genius
the
is a
Ogai
God genius.
anointing. Yeah.
This is a really interesting portion because we have really just seeing our three major matriarchs, right? I mean, we're all girls here, so can we just talk about some girls, some chick stuff for a minute?
Yes.
We are seeing that all of these matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, all three of them have issues having babies.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that our three matriarchs are having some issues? And I think that's for me, I wrote that as one of the things I want to pray about why did three women, and I want to hear from you guys and post your thoughts, post your things. Tell me, you have three women who are barren initially, and they have to seek and cry out to the Holy One, or their husbands also sought and cried out to the Holy One to bring promise, to bring things, to bring the promised seed through them. So they knew there was a promise. What kind of stress is that, Brenda? I was thinking about the day.
Geez,
It
monthly
wasn't
stress.
just like, oh, I wish I
Monthly
could have a
stress.
baby and I'm
No.
monthly stressed out about it.
Monthly stress.
But when someone tells you, oh, I don't know, God says you are going to be, you're going to, through your body, I mean, the whole earth is going to be seeds bigger than the stars and the sands. And you're like, no pressure. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got to have a baby, I guess.
Yeah.
Now I can't. Yeah. Just thanks for rubbing that in my face. Thanks. Because I can't. I mean, kind of cool. Also, I noticed that with Rebecca, do you know that Rebecca, it's 10 years and she hadn't had a baby. It was interesting because it was 10 years from the time. Remember when the first time when Abraham got the promise, it was 10 years till they came back and said, oh, by the way, in a year, she's going to have a baby.
10 is the number of fullness, fulfillment. Yeah. Not ending it, but it is a cycle, a completed cycle. So that's 10. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Those numbers really do have a lot of hidden meaning in there. And it's the number, and it's the letter Yod, which is the power of God, the hand of God releasing. It's pretty cool.
That's
Sorry,
cool.
nerd moment.
No, good nerd moment. I was trying to do the little nerd moment on Rachel. I was trying to count up how old she was. I mean, for Rebecca,
Mhm.
I was trying to check Rebecca's age. Like if she waited 10 years before she got pregnant with the twins, and from what I could read, I am not saying I know this, but what I could read from them, sages, Mishnah, everything I could find, is that she was 13. I mean, we have some great Bible scholars in our presence. No pressure on me there, but she was 13. Because he had to wait, until she was able to get married. So she was actually 13, and then should have been around 23, maybe, which would have been like 90. Biblical times. They're like, what? You're 23. You haven't had 8 kids yet. What's wrong with you? But that's a lot. I mean, if she started menstruating at 13 and she still hadn't had a baby by the time she was 23, it's not as long as Sarah had to wait, but it was a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And Isaac was the promised one. And so, yeah, like you said, no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
She comes into the camp. She's in Sarah's tent. She's learning all the things. She's in the
Everyone's looking
stage of
at you.
learning.
Are you pregnant yet? How about now?
How about now?
How about now? It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you get married, everyone's like, when are you going to have babies?
Oh, wait, that's me to my kids. How about now? How about now? How about now?
Right?
Texting, how about now?
Well, no pressure. Can you imagine the servant girls like walking past the tent or going, they're like,
Yeah.
and they're like looking to see if there's like red cloths, red things to see if she
Yeah.
started her period that month. I mean, can
Yeah.
you even, I can't,
Yeah.
we take a little time in this because I think we
Yeah.
truly don't get it. I mean,
Right.
we just don't. We don't get it.
Right. But God had a promise. And the beautiful thing is that we see in Torah how, you know, e- every story is a story within a story within a story within a story. Every story. Like if you just take some of these scriptures and you read them out of, just on their own out of context, they don't really make a whole lot of sense. But when you start putting them together, it's like waiting for the promises. Wait, what's the scripture in Isaiah? They that wait upon
What
the
does that
Lord,
word mean?
binding and twisting together, wrapping yourself around his promises to the point that he is your everything. They that wait, binding and twisting together. The word in Hebrew is kavah. And it's not just waiting like a servant with your little towel and your, whatever you need, Father, whatever you need. Let me get that. Let me get that. Let me get that. Yeah, there's that too. But there's a deeper meaning too of this binding and twisting together. It's how a rope is formed. It's a binding and twisting together so that that cord cannot be broken. And that's kavah. And so in this process of waiting, something happens. And we're learning that today, Charlie. There's two sides of us. The side that wants to honor the things of God, the side that is running after the things of God. And there's the other side that just can't be bothered. The other side, that beast side, that's like, meh, whatever. You promised, I didn't get it. Meh. There's that other side, that Esau side, and that is living within all of us. Paul talks about it. And we have it throughout the whole scripture. But the point is that when you're binding and twisting, when you're waiting upon the Lord, then those things that are within you are going to come up. And then you deal with them. You deal with those things that are from Esau. You deal with those things that cause your mind to focus only on the lack of fulfillment. And your mind, you can allow your mind to begin focusing on, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They're going to run and not be weary. They're going to walk and not faint. This is what he's asking of us, and this is what he asked of Rebecca, and this is what happened. And then when she had her children, she was so filled with what the plan and purpose of God was that she would go to any lengths to see that happen.
Amen. Amen. Father,
Drop the mic.
Father, we already we know you've already blessed your word. We know that you've blessed everyone
Hallelujah.
in this under whoever's watching now, whoever's watching later. We just thank you.
Thank
We
you,
just thank you
Father.
right now for an
Hallelujah.
anointing. We thank you, Father, and we ask that you empty us out of all of our thoughts and our crazy study times and weird nerding out and sometimes, but we ask, Father,
Thank
instead
you.
that you would replace it with just what you want these women to hear today.
Thank you,
That you would
Father.
fill their hearts, fill their right, meet them right now. We know
Right
you're
where they
there.
are.
But I asked, Father, that the things on earth would melt away so
Yes.
that they would realize right now that you're the answer
Mm.
to every single
Every
problem they
single
have. You
thing.
are the answer to everything right now. And they can
Yes.
just sit and they can
Yes.
kava with you, Father.
Yes, Father.
Thank you, Father.
Yes.
Sorry, not trying to be all religious, like we need to start with a prayer and then we need to start with a thing. I just, I needed it. So I need to be
That's
emptied
so
out sometimes.
it's so
You
good.
know what?
Yeah,
They
because
can't, when they're having to
life.
wait. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's some things that have been this is a time I was sharing with Brenda, a time in my life when all of a sudden it's becoming very fruitful and in a lot of areas. And what I mean by that is what I was saying is it's a harvest time. And we're going to have a
Yeah.
teacher later over in the cafe is one of our guests, and he's going to teach about the 7 year principles, and about in the 6th year, which we're living in right now, is a time when you're gathering double so that you can rest during that 7th year, right? So and I won't go into that, but I just wanted to say that this is a season. Sometimes we go through seasons that is I'm feeling like I'm finally reaping. It might be just my age, if anyone's over 50, I want to see wave a hand, say woohoo, something to me, so I know I'm not alone. If you're over 50, let me know, because it is a season when it's like finally, because I sometimes you feel like you're scraping uphill and everything I did, either it might have failed or something, but all of a sudden all of those things, and I can't explain it other than this, it feels like I'm reaping a harvest all of a sudden from the prayers. I'm seeing prayers answered that I thought would never be answered. I am seeing, and I'm not trying to be well, I'll explain. I'm seeing scripture verses that I've held on to all of a sudden have new meaning. I have a harvest in the word. I'm also seeing a harvest in understanding why I had to go through that struggle. I'm
Yeah.
at a place now that I'm actually on top of, I'm looking over going, oh, that's why that happened. And
Mhm.
I think it could be secretly that I'm starting to live a different life of gratitude. And so it opened up this portal. And now all of a sudden I'm, I'm living in this place of gratitude. And it doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, I'm getting like checks in the mail and everything is just like, but I do feel like things are pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing all of a sudden. All of a sudden, everywhere I look or something I do, I'm like, oh, I'm reaping the harvest of putting that hard work in 20 years ago.
That's so
I'm seeing
awesome.
it right now. I'm seeing the
Yeah.
hard work, like I need something, and all of a sudden I have a skill. Like she was joking, like, "Oh, you're genius." I realized, "Oh, that's why I went to school for that. Oh, that's why I took that course. Oh, that's why I
Right.
went to that seminar. I thought it was a waste of money." But all of a sudden, it's the for such a time as this moments, and that's
Yes.
we have to see that for these women as they are waiting. If
Yeah.
they had gotten pregnant right away, it wouldn't have been as special, right?
Mhm.
It wouldn't, they could have took credit, well, they couldn't take credit for it, but they would, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't been as special. They had to wait. It had to be a set apart moment.
Yeah.
No different than with Miriam slash Mary. When she becomes pregnant, it's miraculous. This shouldn't
Yeah.
have happened.
Mhm.
We had to see that foreshadowed, right, Brenda?
Right. Yeah, and these are all of the women that we get to look at as our examples, good and bad. Hey, I mean, it's all there. I love how Torah doesn't hold back on the stuff that is like the things that you would prefer to not have anyone know about you. It's like all written out there in Torah. But like hiding the idols underneath your skirt. Hello.
I ripped those pages out. Those are not in there. I ripped those
I'm
out.
I'm like on Facebook, delete, delete, delete. What I did, what, when? Ah, you know,
I know. Do not. No, I won't even say it because you'll go
don't.
back and
Yeah,
search me
yeah.
out. Do not search back. There could be crazy things you will find on my Facebook or
Now
Instagram.
everyone's like, "What's your
But you know
Facebook name?"
what? Only Love was really great with me as she was saying, I'm not going to go through and delete all the stuff from my, people will be searching me out. People look at, I'm not going to go delete everything because that's part of my story. I was
Love
sometimes
that.
involved in some crazy stuff, but he delivered me, brought me to repentance, brought me to a place of teshuva, brought me to that place. And if I delete all of it, there's women out there who are going to say, well, look at you, you're all perfect. They won't see, wow. I mean, I was sharing with one of the ladies, I won't point her out, but I was sharing with someone about having tattoos. I do have tattoos because that was a season in my life because I was mad and I was like, I'm rebelling. So, I'm going to get a tattoo. Well, I
Mhm.
go big or go home. I got a lot of tattoos. So, but what happens is I have women who see that and go, thank you, because I feel like if, if he can work through you the way that he does, he can work through
Yeah,
me because I've been there
exactly.
too. So I had to
Exactly.
get over that stage of worrying what people were thinking, what people were saying, because I promise you they will talk and they will say things just like they did for these women. They talked about them. They said things. These women were set apart, obviously, because all the
Yes.
kings wanted them, right?
Mhm. That's
Yeah,
oh
they
yeah.
all wanted. They
Oh
all
yeah.
wanted them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were good. I have a random thought.
Oh,
Let's
I
call
love
this.
random thoughts.
Um,
I'm a little scared, but go ahead.
I know. We're talking about all the different seeds, that things were supposed to come through, and I don't even know. I'm going to throw this out there, and you guys are going to be like, "What the heck?" So write it down and go like think of it or cross it off and tear the page up and throw it away. But I was really pondering this and praying about this today, about this whole process of these two babies in being in her womb, and they're fighting, and then I was and then uh wondering what was happening because uh how it was that Esau ends up selling his birthright. And if we think about it, Esau really should have married Leah because he was the firstborn and he should have married the firstborn. So that probably was a love connection that had been made. It's been said by them that possibly there was this, they were already should have they kind of probably talked about it around the campfire when they had family gatherings, that those two might have been coming, but instead he went after some other women uh
Yeah.
who brought all kinds of crazy into the camp.
Yep.
But so God still blessed Leah. He still saw her, and that we
Oh
get
yeah.
we get to talk about next week too, but he still saw her. He still
Mhm.
saw her even though she was supposed to be the first choice and then wasn't the first choice. But I think that ministers to all of us is that he's still no different than Hagar. He's the God who sees. Even
Mm.
Ishmael isn't forgotten, right? He isn't forgotten. He comes back. He gets to go with Isaac to bury Abraham. He isn't forgotten. It's not like, oh yeah, and then he went away. It's like, no, he came back and got to be part of something very significant in Abraham's life. And we don't know what the plan is. I know growing up in my particular faith walk in the denominations I was in, it was such how Ishmael fathered is the father of the Islamic nation, and how we all hate him, and there was a lot of negative things against that. Now, I'm not saying that what I want to say is we don't know what God's plan is for the Islamic nation. We don't know what his plan is for the children of Ishmael, because he said he'd make him a great nation, and we have to believe that he may be just using them as a rod of correction, and that's
Mhm.
the plan. Or it could be that eventually they get a radical awakening, and there could be something radical happening. So we need to be careful what comes out of our mouth about anyone, because we don't know his plan. We can say, I don't understand it. I'm not going to join the Islamic nation, not feeling called. So, and leave it. Not trying to look up how to make a bomb, whatever. So, what did that have to do with anything? I
I
just
don't
want to,
know.
that was it. I just want to,
No, I
you guys
I really
signed
I
on. That's all
actually
I'm
do.
going to say. You're here. That's all.
I I appreciate that because it's kind of like in our Torah portion, and we will eventually get to the Torah portion.
Yeah, we
But
kind of are in there. We're going around it.
actually this is the Torah
Yeah.
portion, right? Right. I'm just joking, but there's a part in Matthew when we're reading in Matthew, and and Charlie and I talked about this before. It's saying, if you go into someone and you go into the home, and they are resistant to your words of
Mhm.
sharing, that you are to knock off the dust of your feet and leave. And a lot of people take that to be a really, really negative, basically curse them. And I was reading it again this morning, and I was thinking, the interesting thing is that when our hearts are always that when we leave any situation, any space, all of us, we need to be leaving behind us the fragrance of Messiah. You're going to hear that a lot from us. It's one of our foundational core values. Wherever we go, we leave the fragrance of Messiah when we walk through. That's our goal. And when you are leaving a home because they are resistant to what you're saying, and this was, the disciples were going into the home. It was a command from Yeshua, actually, that they were to go into the homes and to teach and to preach it within the homes. And if they were meeting resistance or being, assaulted or whatever, they were to leave, get out. And the thing is, dusting off your feet, you're dusting off their dust off of your feet, right? You're leaving that there. And it says to take your shalom with you. In other words, don't lose it. Don't lose your shalom in the midst of hardship, in the midst of your family not understanding who you are and where you are and why you're doing, and thinking that you're in a cult, or thinking that you've lost your salvation, or thinking that you're off your rocker. Or is that just my family? No. Okay. So the thing is that, yes, you want to dust your feet. You want to make sure that that's not staying on you, that what those words are, what those attitudes are not staying on you. You're dusting that off. And in the midst of that, you are dusting off the dust of the rabbi in you, and you are leaving that there. Boom, 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 and you're leaving. And I think that it's really important that we don't gravitate, that's the Esau Jacob thing, that we don't gravitate towards the hatefulness, because I hear a lot of people talking about this, and it's in a very hateful way. Like, just let them burn. Well, if you read the scriptures, it says that what happens to that city is worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. Is that what you want? Is that our goal? No. Our goal is to leave the fragrance of the Messiah wherever we go. So in the midst of that, dust it off. Do not let those words land on you and go into your heart and destroy you. That is not what needs to happen in your life right now. You need to dust those off, because we're coming up to, in our society here, in the way that the world works right now, we're coming up to a lot of holidays that are celebrated that maybe we're not celebrating.
You're going to go there.
Yeah. And so when you're in the midst of all of that, can I just say, be the fragrance of Messiah. What does that look like? It's going to look different for every single person. Does that mean that you get to hold your grandbabies and love on them while they're opening up packages?
I don't know. No judgment here. Just saying.
Right.
Free judgment, free zone.
But in your life, if you're being ridiculed, if you're being hurt, if you're being harmed by words and actions and behaviors, and anger and things are coming at you, which this is what happens. I want you to listen to this scripture in Matthew and hang on to your shalom. Do not let go. Guard it, hold it, keep it. Keep the shalom. And let the words be dusted off. Don't let those words go into you. And let the fragrance of Messiah be in your behavior and in your actions. And that's my prayer for everyone getting through the November and the December, getting through all of that. That is my prayer for each and every one of you. And Charlie and I are like in total agreement with this. We want you to be able to have shalom in the midst of everything that's going on around you. And that is pretty much what our Torah portion is all about, right? It's about being in the midst of chaos and knowing, as our good friend Linda Millett says, that God is in the midst of the mess. He is in the middle of it. He is right there in the middle of the mess, and he is going to make sure that you stay connected to him if you will just keep your eyes focused on him in the midst of the mess. And then we can go all the way back to Genesis 1, and in the midst of the mess, in the midst of the chaos, Bereshit, bara, Elohim, right?
Yes.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth in the midst of all of that. And he took that chaos and he divided it. And he made light and he made darkness and he divided it. And then he brought it back together. And that's what he does. That's who he is. And I just want to speak that life over you in the midst of these seasons and times that are coming up, that you would have that and you would hold on to that. And when you get confronted with things that are going to want to destroy your heart, I want you to take, take a breath and trust that the Holy One is in the midst of it and he will speak life. You may not need to speak anything. Just trust him and let him do that. Let him do the stuff that God does and you just be who he created you to be. And in that, hang on to your peace.
So good. And I apologize. Everyone over on Facebook, please forgive me. I went live to the wrong group. I went live to the Ruta Cafe private group, member group, and I'm so sorry. I will post the beginning of the video on there for y'all so that you can see the first part of this. But I apologize. So we are live now on the portion in the Facebook group there. So yay, back to there. So apologize for that. This is a really difficult time, and this is a time when you're going to struggle with your Esau and your Jacob.
Yeah.
I love last night we had Keisha was in our special guest for our monthly webinar over
Keisha
in
Gallagher.
the Keisha Gallagher. I think I saw her phone jump on here.
Yeah.
She's with us right now. But she was talking to us. Her talk she gave to us last night in our membership. We do a live webinar every month, and she was the guest. She talked about Beauty and the Beast. We have this struggle happening, and sometimes the struggle doesn't look so obvious, right? I was thinking sometimes the struggle is, and I'm gonna have lots of you disagree, and I love it. Yay! I hope it stirs something in me to learn more, but Brenda said something that might have hit you wrong. Like you may have to hold your babies in the middle of some Christmas thing and you're like, or some holiday thing. And you're like, well, you shouldn't even, you have to know what is the Holy One telling you to do.
Right.
Because I tell you what, my family knows where I stand and what I believe and don't believe in. But you know what's funny? It makes them uncomfortable that if I have shown up, it makes them uncomfortable. Like all of a sudden you're the light in the darkness, and all of a sudden they realize what they're doing is not okay, because otherwise it was like I let them go and do their thing and they could do all they could do and kind of in their darkness. But because I walked into the darkness and sat there and like, for example, my daughter sent me pictures of my granddaughters dressed up for Halloween. I wanted to die. Can I just tell you, I cringed inside. My flesh, my Esau wanted to die. But then that Jacob in me rose up and said, oh, your granddaughters have the DNA of Messiah inside of them. It doesn't matter what's on their bodies, because they are going to step into their destiny and they're going to step into their calling. So my answer back was, boy, they sure are getting big. I responded in love. Instead of saying, you know better, then what was she going to do? She was just going to not send me anything anymore. She was going to hang up. She would not hear me. But now what she heard me, she's like, yeah. Then guess what? She came back and she said, I think we've kind of decided we're going to keep the girls home, and we bought them candy and played some games, and we're just going to do our own thing. And it may not have looked like some people think like they should have been not even done that. But you know what? It's a process. Beautiful. And Brenda really loved me through my process. And so we want to be, that's the one reason even we're here, is we want to be that love. And I have to just say this, Petra, girlfriend, you're looking good with that hair. Look at you with your new hair color. I saw a new hair color. I was like, you got to say that. But it might make you cringe, because I've seen people think, we can't go, we can't participate in that, we can't do that. Well, what if he's asking you to stand in the midst of it? What if he's asking you to go back and remarry the harlot? What if he's asking you to do the things that everyone's thinking is the craziest possible thing? Now, he better be the one who tells you better fast and pray and know that you know, and have some friends fasting with you and know that you know. So when you go in with so much of the Messiah, like he did. You walk to the well with a Samaritan woman who's like worshiping at the wrong place, celebrating the wrong things, dressing the wrong way, being the wrong thing, living the wrong life. And he goes to her and sits in her. She didn't come to him. He went to her. Now, we're not all called to do that, but if he's calling you to do it,
right.
We want to pray with you to do it. Yeah.
can I just say that in Matthew it says when you're going into all the cities and you're preaching and you're going into all the homes, don't go into the Samaritan area. So Yeshua, where was he? He went into Shamron, it says in Hebrew. He went in there and he sat at that well and he spoke life to her, and it changed the entire community.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just saying that there's, just walk in grace and walk in a way that you are hearing from the Holy One. And if somebody doesn't understand it, don't worry about it. Just that's our whole point here, is just
love the hell out of them. Who said that? Maxine. Maxine said that to us in our Tuesday talk. If you're in the portion, if you're over in the Rooted Cafe, love the hell out of them, she said. So just love the hell out of them. There you go.
Love. Yeah. Love them, love them.
Love it. Well, we have two men that are born in this chapter. We have two guys. They're born.
We do.
It's really interesting that these two men, as they're born, and it's saying how that Jacob was holding on to his foot. Brenda, I sent you something crazy. Did you read it?
I did, but I was kind of distracted, sis. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to.
Fired. You're so fired.
Know, right?
She's fired. So
I'm going to get a raise.
I feel like I have to read it. I feel like I have to read it.
Okay.
This is something that they say. Actually, I got this off ahab.org. Actually, it's an app. I have the app on my phone. So it's like every day you can do little studies and stuff. It says, there's a Agadic, is that how you say that? Aggadic explanation, which says that concurs with the straight. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
Which one are you going to read? The brothers?
Not the man in the field, the twin. I didn't keep it. So tell me, can you read it? The one I said about holding is about being born, about conception.
I don't have that one.
Okay.
I have twins.
So I'm going to give you the general thing of it. And if you want it, I will, there's a couple of you last week, I did the same thing. I'll make a screenshot out and I'll send it to you. But basically it said that in conception, the first egg it's kind of like if you put two rocks in a bottle, the first rock that goes in is the last rock that comes out. So the first shall be last and the last will be first.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
That's exactly what you said it exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say that the first egg that was fertilized was Jacob, and then Esau would have been the second egg that was fertilized, so that Esau was the first that came out and Jacob was the one following, but he was actually the first. So the first was last. And then the last became first. So spin on that, do it. That's just my nerd moment this morning. I was like, that's good. But I think it was funny because in part of that, he talks about, they're describing them, who they were. And I really challenge you guys to get into that, because it was fun to me to read some of the things what things really mean. And that's one of our hearts, I know, at the Rooted Cafe, is what did it really mean? What does that really mean? So I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind. Let's see if I can do it well. Okay. I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Do not tell all of our paid members that I did this. Oh, wait, you're watching. So those are the members, they would go in here and you log in. I'm just going to show you this thing. I didn't want to miss it. Okay. So logged in. So in the Rooted Cafe, this is what it looks like. And we get Parsha points every week about really cool stuff. Then Torah Talk, we add the videos here. We get a word every week. Let me keep going. I'm trying to find something. Okay. Passes, printables, live webinars, guest teachers. There's all kinds of stuff. In this class, there's a couple classes. Here's Brenda's Aleph Bet course. In this class under the fig tree, I am actually going to read this to you because it is so good. Gail Heaton is so gifted and amazing. And she wrote this class about Hebrew idioms. And everybody pray that, I might have to click out of some other stuff here. Yeah, I have a really good connection. Good times. Anyway, she does Hebrew idioms. Brenda, can you explain what that means?
Hebrew idiom is a phrase that you can't translate word for word. It doesn't give you the meaning. It's like in English, we say cats and dogs. It's raining cats and dogs. If you translated rain, cats, and dogs, you would not get the meaning that it's raining very heavily. And so that's the idiom. And so in Hebrew, it is the Torah, the Bible, Genesis to Revelation, is riddled with idioms. And if we try to translate them verbatim, we're getting the whole wrong point.
Yeah.
And so Gail has gone back and she has been bringing, every week, she's bringing idioms to us and teaching us about the ancient Near East mindset and what they meant when this was occurring, what those idioms meant. And then it just brings such great revelation to the Word of God. It's amazing. We can't see that on this. Oh, there you go. Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
So the one I want to talk about is because there is I'll let you guys look at the one for Esau, because the one for Esau, it says that, that Esau was there. I mean, I think that you'll be surprised if you go into looking at some words about who Esau was. It says that he was able to, we hear that his father loved him because he was a hunter, blah, blah, blah. But if you read a little more into that, it's also known that he was able to trap his father with his words. So he was able to, I've always grown up thinking Jacob was this conniver and scheming, but I got such a beautiful picture. I see Kathy shaking her head. So I can see you all. He wasn't that at all. This is a man, and it said he says he was the one who dwelled in tents. So
yeah.
He wasn't, I don't know about you. So maybe I'm talking to all you newbies out there, that you might have grown up thinking that he was little mama's boy, sissy la la, that he just stayed and held on to his mommy's little dress and stayed in the tents. Well,
sissy
I'm
la,
going to give you,
I like that.
he was not. He stayed near one of the words, dwelling in tents. And that's not going to happen in all of your translations. But
Right.
if you look at the original wording, it says he dwelled in tents. And I just want to go through, if you guys don't mind, this is a picture of like a tent. This is a replica of Abraham's tent in Tamar Biblical Village in Israel. This was taken by Gail. So, and it says, and the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Jacob was a complete man. And that word, we'll talk about that another time. It's actually straightforward, dwelling in tents. So knowing that dwelling tents is a Hebraic idiom and not to be taken literally, I got a kick out of reading the various translations in Genesis 25. So the New Living Translation says the boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob was a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. Contemporary English version says, as Jacob and Esau grew older, Esau liked the outdoors and became a good hunter, while Jacob lived the quiet life of a shepherd. So this translation isn't wrong in the sense that, yes, a dweller in tents is also known as a shepherd. A dog gave birth to Jabal, and he was the father of those who live in tents and raise livestock. That's in Genesis 4:20. But it's the combination of dwelling in tents with another word that really tells the full story. So clue number 1, Genesis 25:27, it says, and the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was plain man. And that actually word plain again is the, I want she says it, I'll see, dwelling in tents. The word translated plain is tom or tom from that's Hebrew for your Strong's Concordance girls, 8552. It means complete, usually morally pious, specifically gentle, dear, perfect, plain, undefiled, upright. So basically he is good guy. It carries the meaning to be complete, mature in thought and action, whole, finished or complete. It's often used for animals fit for the temple altar, free from impurity. It does not mean sinless. In the King James translation, Tom, in Job's 1:1, it says it this way: there was a man in the land of Uz, I don't know, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. The King James translates the plural form of Tamaim in Deuteronomy 18:3 this way: thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. Is that kind of cool? Are you guys kind of seeing? This is who Jacob is now. This is some of the now clue number 2. Jacob is said to have dwelled in tents. Genesis 25:27, and the boys grew. Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. We know what plain man means now, right? We get that picture of that. We get the picture of what that word is. This is the Hebrew word that, which is pronounced ohelim. A single tent is ohelm, I guess, which is pronounced ohel. Oh, I guessed it right. Here are 2 places where Jacob's tent is singular, which is how all others use uses of one's person's tent is rendered. So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched the mountains in Gilead. And he, Jacob, bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the sons of them. And then with how much money? But Jacob dwelt in tents. That's plural. Something very interesting is going on here in the original language. Hebrew is interesting in that it's two plural forms, im or ot, depending on this masculine or feminine, can be whether you're going to count it, quantitative or qualitative. What's the quality of this? They can refer to numerical values or descriptive quality. The word Elohim is a good example. If you can, it can mean multiple little gods, quantitative, or it can mean supreme God, qualitative. So Jacob's tent is a qualitative tent. So he goes through, have you not known? Have you not heard? Have you not been told about from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of this earth? It is he who sits above the circle of this earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in them. He brings the princes to nothing. He makes the judges of the earth vanity. Jacob learned how to be Tom in the presence of God from Isaac, who learned it from Abraham.
Yes.
By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to the place where he could receive his inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going, but by faith he dwelt in the land of the promise of the foreign country, dwelling in tents, Isaac and Jacob, the heirs of him of the same promise, for he waited for the city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. So we have clue number 3 in Psalms 119. It give us a direct association between Tamaim and Torah. Blessed are the Tamaim in the. Did I say that right, Brenda?
Yes, you did.
Tamaim in the way who walk in the Torah of the Lord.
Yes.
And then in Psalms 19 says the Torah of the Lord is Tamaim, turning the soul back to God. Torah can mean the first 5 books of the Bible, and it also is the instructions of the Lord. I don't think there's any disagreement that God gave instructions, Torah, to mankind from the garden, not just starting at Sinai. Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, my laws. That's Genesis 26. Jacob would have studied and put into practice God's instructions, Torah, because the one becomes Tom as they deepen their walk with a faith in God through his instructions. Okay, clue number 4, the Jewish sages say. Here we go. They. Everyone do your quotes, air quotes. They. The Jewish sages say, but Jacob was a perfect man dwelling in tents. Did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
Dwelling in tent is not written in the passage, but rather dwelling in tents. Jacob would go out of the academy Bet Midrash of Shem and enter the academy of Eber. He would go to the academy of Eber to the academy of Abraham, and that's from the Midrash. That's one of the theys. In Jewish liturgy, the verse from Numbers 24:5 says, how goodly are the tents, O Jacob, your dwelling place, tents, O Jacob, your dwelling place, O Israel, became a prayer that begins the morning service. In this prayer, the tents becomes the synagogue and the study halls for the devout. Then all the clues are examined. It can become apparent that dwelling in tents is a Hebrew idiom for studying Torah.
Drop the mic. Woo! There we go.
You got a secret sneak peek in one of the classes.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so does that not just ignite your heart? Because here we are thinking that Jacob is just a mamby-pamby.
Sissy la man
with his mommy. And that is not what was being said, was that he followed in the way of Abraham. He followed in the way of Isaac. He followed that way. He studied the Torah, and that changed who he was. It didn't mean he was perfect. And you're going to notice, and Charlie even said it when she was reading, it never means that we're perfect in the sense that we don't make any wrong moves or don't do anything stupid or don't make bad decisions or whatever. We're all, as long as we're living here, this is what's going to happen. But the difference is that he was after the heart of God. He was studying the Torah in the sense of following what God had spoken course, you know, you guys, you get that it's before we had the Torah from Moses. You understand though that the Torah has been since the beginning because
They lived the
they
Torah
were
in the
honoring
garden.
Shabbat in the garden. So, okay. So this is what Jacob was doing. He was following the ways, and Kathy McCormick said, Kathy McCament, I'm so sorry, I got your name wrong, said it earlier. She said, yeah, they were studying from Eber and from Shem, and that is who was passing it along. And this is where the foundation came from. This was the difference between Esau and Jacob. One was following the ways that his father had taught him, and the other was running off and marrying the women that his dad said, don't do it. It'll cause grief. And he went and did it anyway, deliberately rebelling, purposeful rebellion.
Right.
Big
And I want someone
difference.
in the either one of the places type in or all the places type in who is Shem and Eber. Who are they? So we can add that to everyone's knowledge this week. Who were Shem and Eber? Just curious.
Do you guys
Inquiring minds
know?
want to know.
Uh,
Interesting word. Give you another nerd moment. Nerd side note is that the word for twins in this parsha is missing the aleph and the vav, because in when we're talking about the twins with when Tamar had twins in 38:27 later on, we're gonna hear about that. Those twins, that is not missing. It's including the aleph and the vav.
yeah.
So it has been said by them. It's because those two were both righteous. And in this case, they were both missing because the two were not righteous. Both of them weren't. So this is a fun
Mm.
fact that sometimes we don't notice some weird little things that when we're talking about those twins, that's missing. And we only say some of those things because there's some of you in here who want a little more. So now you can go study that over the weekend. Like, what is missing? Where's Hebrew going here? Yeah, kind of cool. Yeah, and I like that he's talked about as being straightforward. That Jacob is straightforward. It wasn't just that, oh, he's this passive little guy just doing what he did. Now, when she finds out she's pregnant before she's even born, she's freaking out. She's never been pregnant before. We were learning this if you follow Dr. Alwine, Halisa Alwine. She was talking about this. I mean, but here's these twins, and imagine you've never had a baby, you're a young girl, and you have twins. And of course, they didn't have ultrasound, so it wasn't like, oh, look, there's two heartbeats. Look, we can hear two heartbeats because they did the little thingy. That didn't happen back then. All of a sudden, all she knew is, man, I don't notice the other girls getting this big. And second of all, it says that the words that's used for her abdomen is not like just the use for womb. It's not the same word used for womb. It's actually the word used for like a stomach. So from what I can gather, if women, we can talk about, we know if we're saying that her stomach was a hot mess, we know she probably had severe morning sickness, but all the time. I mean, these guys were fighting like cats and dogs. And Brenda,
Right.
what was
Right.
we were learning? I know that yesterday we were talking about this. What's your
Right.
big takeaway about how crazy that was?
Yeah, the word that is used is a word when they were fighting in her womb. The word that is used is a word of a destructive word that means to crush without hope of repair. It's like it's dropping a cinder block on someone's skull. Basically, it's destruction with no repair at all. That's what was happening in the womb. There was the struggle that was going on. And I love how it says not only was it two babies, it was two peoples, it was two nations. And the struggle. Then we get that later on as we're going through the Torah portion and we look at the Haftorah, we're seeing all of that this is, and then in the New Testament, it's talking about how before Messiah returns, the struggle is going to be even greater. And that the struggle is all part of God's plan to release people and bring redemption. And so, because God's all about redemption, guys. We realize that, don't we? That his
Yes.
purpose and plan is to redeem all people, bloodline by bloodline, individual by individual. And he's going after us individually. But it's also that we have a community and that we gather together as a community. of believers, and we support
Yes.
one another and love each other, and we learn from each other. We can't do it individually by ourselves. We have to be in families. We have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the struggle, is that sometimes it's really hard to be in a family because your brothers and sisters know you really well. Like, like they say, "What, can anything good come out of Nazareth?" I mean, it's kind of like,
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys, share this. I wrote on here that the hashtag the struggle was real. And so Melissa comes back and she says, the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
sorry, but I'm butch. And I saw
good.
Petra laughing, so I had to
But
look over. It was like, okay, there's a joke happening. So yeah,
oh,
the
that's
struggle
pretty
is
funny.
real. I mean, really?
There you go. We need another T-shirt, you guys.
Another T-shirt.
Hebrew humor. Hebrew humor.
Oh my
It was interesting
gosh.
too when this we're in 25. We're jumping everywhere. 25, 22
Yeah, we are.
about the children struggling. She cries out. She says she actually what the midrash says that she went to see Shem. Is that who she went to Shem so that she could pray and she went to the tents, right? She went to the place where she could pray, where she could ask Adonai what's going on.
Good,
And it
good godly
actually, like my
counsel.
translation, I'm reading from the Tree of Life version. It says, if it's like this, why is this happening to me? And the actual proper translation would be more like, if it was like this, why did I ask for this? Okay. So I'm going to some places. Some of you cried and cried. You just wanted to get married. You just wanted a husband. If only you could have a husband. And then you get married, and then you have to wash his underwear. And then he isn't all the things you thought he was going to be. And then you're going to say, if I knew it was like this, why did I pray so hard for a husband? Hashtag the struggle Israel. Some of you prayed and prayed and prayed for children. Mm-hmm. Prayed, you just want a baby. You just thought it was so cute. You loved playing dollies when you were little. And then comes the babies, and then they turn into teenagers, and they turn 12 and they start rolling their eyes at you, and they start, or they're, it was one thing when they kept you up all night, but I mean, I remember crying, nursing my daughter, crying in the rocking chair going, why did I do this? If I knew it was going to be like this, why didn't someone tell me? Ouch. And I mean, anyone else? I went hands raised. Are like, I want to know. I need some comments on Facebook. Who? Tell me what you've prayed for. Did you pray for a job, and then you prayed to leave the job? You prayed for it to blow up, that someone that Al Qaeda would set a bomb, and that you would not be there that day sick, and that you wouldn't have to go back because you're too scared to quit. I mean, how many things in our lives do we pray and pray for, and then the struggle happens, and you're sick, and you're carrying the promise, and then you're like, did I really ask for this? That may or may not have happened to me in the last month with some things. Just leave that there. When God puts a promise in you, when he puts the promise, the seed in you of ministry, of your purpose, there are going to be seasons. It's going to make you want to throw up. Yeah. It is not going to be fun. Before, sometimes we want to abort something and get rid of it because this is too hard. I can't go any further. And she's saying, did I really ask for this? Why did I ask? If I had only known, I would not have asked for this. And this struggle, while it was happening, there's good and evil. There's two sides of everything that are going to always be fighting against each other. And how many times in your life have you aborted the call on your life? You've aborted something that you thought, oh, I can't do this. It's too hard. The evil one, the beast part of you, the Esau one. And then maybe the next time the Jacob wins. What's really cool, and we talk about every time, he visits down to the 7th generation. And I believe that happens not just literally like down 7 generations, but I think that 7 means as much times as it takes. I believe he does that in our lives. Sister, it is not too late. If you aborted something that you thought was inside of you, you had a purpose, that you had a calling, and then you hated it, and the struggle got too real, and you quit it, and you got rid of it, whatever happened, it's not too late. Mm-hmm. Because he revisits, and he redeems, and he restores, and he's the God of lots of chances. He's going to come back in. If he made a promise to you, and that and I'm just telling you my own life story here, if you know that you know that you know that there's this call on your life, and it doesn't mean, it might just be that it being a mother and you still don't have a mother. It might be being a mother and you're not even married yet. And you're thinking, really, really? I don't, I wish I was Sarah praying to get pregnant. I don't even have a husband yet. Talk about a miracle, let's just go there. But he's going to jump in. He's given you the promise in your heart. He's given you that. And that means that desire of your heart. Brenda, you told me this the other day or a while ago. You said, God, if I just ask God to change the desires of my heart if they weren't his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at in my life, is that, you pray for things and then you see that the potential's there, but there's no way to get there. So, we have to trust him that he's got a plan, even when we feel disappointment after disappointment. That's why we have these stories to fall back on. That's why we hear about the women who were disappointed month after month after month after month. But then we also hear of how the Holy One brought that all around. And we're products right now of the struggle that Sarah went through. We are products right now of the struggle that Rebecca went through. We're here today because of that. Those of us who are those who are genetically from the tribes of Israel, genetically, those who are grafted in, we're all here because of them. We are honoring and serving the Elohim, the creator of the universe, because of what they did. We're the sands of the sea. We're the stars of the sky. That's what and we get to sit in those promises that were fulfilled then. So we do that so that we can look ahead and go, Father, if you did it for them, you're going to do it for us.
Yes.
And that's when we ask, if I have a desire in my heart that is not from you, then Father, change the desire and let me line my desires up with what you have for me, so that we can be in agreement. When I'm praying your heart. I'm praying my heart, but my heart's praying your heart. And that's when boom, that's when amazing things will happen. So it might still take some time.
Yeah. It might take some time because there's the Esau in you that wants instant gratification, which you've probably, seen this Bible story from that side.
Yeah. Right.
This portion is all about Esau wanting instant gratification.
Right.
He's willing to sell his birthright away because he wants the now. That's the serpent doctrine. Now, instant,
right.
instant, now.
Right.
But the redeemed, wait, the redeemed walk it out. Now, and I wrote a note to myself, was it deception or was it divine strategy? The way that Rebecca guided her son to do what he had to do.
Right.
Because she knew that Esau had already sold the birthright. And I'm like, or was this an Ezer Kenegdo moment? Keisha, you're on here. Feel free to undo your, and I see Simi also, undo your mic if you have to jump in on this one, or Misty. What was it, an Ezer Kenegdo moment? Was this the moment when she was surrounding, because here's these Hittite women, because if you know anything about that setup back in ancient Near East, you might have seen it, like if you watch The Queen or something, when you see, even in England, if there's a monarchy, when the new king comes up, he brings in his wife, that queen steps down and she's the queen mother now, but she's not the ruler of the house anymore. If her husband's about to die and Esau has these Hittite women, all hell was about to break loose. All Hittitism was about to break loose in that house. And so she had to go Ezer Kenegdo on there, what's in there. So that meant she had to be, oh, no, not today. And so she jumped in and was this an Ezer Kenegdo moment? Does anyone?
Ezer Kenegdo, for those of you who don't understand what that is, Ezer Kenegdo is in Genesis, where it says that God formed, there was nothing of like kind for Adam. And that is when God built Eve from Adam. He built her, and she was the one that would surround him, the one who would guard him, the one that would protect him. She was, I think in English it says helpmate, or comparable companion, something like that in English, but it's Zer Kenegdo in Hebrew, and it's saying the one who surrounds, the one who protects, the one who guards, the one who speaks life, the one who gives wisdom. That's what she's talking about, isn't that?
Yeah, there's your homework. Look that word up. So
that word
I don't know. I feel like a little life in that because we know we know her character. We saw her character. That's why she was chosen. That's why she was chosen to come in under Sarah. We know that her character, she was the one who fed all the watered all the camels. Remember, she was the one who was raised up in a evil, I would say evil, in Laban. I mean, she's in the camp and she still rose up and was righteous in the midst of all that. Righteous and was chosen to be the mother of many nations right under Sarah. She was the next in line, right? So we know her character. So I feel like we need to dig a little, give her a little credit, but like what really happened? Was this really a conspiracy to deceive or was it a divine strategy? And that's just a question mark I have. Is it divine strategy? Because women, when it's about to get crazy somewhere and that Azer Kenegdo in you rises up, and then you have to ask the Holy One, how do I strategize to walk this out?
Right.
Because my family's about to lose their, their shalom. And I need to, it's going to be fractured. It's going to be, it's going to be a mess. And I know you're in this mess. So how do I walk this out as the Azer Kenegdo in my home? And we aren't told. So I can't assume that God gave her this strategy. So I do feel like she probably rushed around to, hey, this is what we got to do. We need to get this. This is what has to happen because she's panicking because these crazy Hittite women were about to take the throne and she had to do that. Has anyone raise your hand, say yes, unmute? I need some input on this. Brenda, what say you while they jump in? Misty's undone. Yay.
Oh,
tell us,
Yeah.
Misty.
Okay, go ahead, Misty.
So
I want to hear from you.
I was watching a video today and a rabbi was talking about this. And the example he gave was, if you have, let's say that you have a prophecy that you're supposed to be the next councilwoman for the state of Texas. And all of a sudden in your mailbox, there shows up a check for $182,000 so that you can run your campaign and do all these things. Well, then as it gets closer to time and the elections are happening and you're not winning. Okay. And so you're not winning, but then the next thing you know, someone comes to you and pulls you aside and says, hey, if you pay this person kind of under the table $182,000, then you're going to get elected. It's guaranteed. So then, of course, you turn and you go, oh, well, that just happens to be how much money I received. Okay. Is that honorable, though, to do that? So I don't know, because I fell in the same thing that you did. I thought, oh, wow, she's just taking care of him because she knew who the promise was. But when he said that, I thought, oh, well,
I think she had to know because she does tell him, let your curse fall on me.
Yes.
She was willing to take the bullet. Women, that's the Azer Kenegdo. It's like, I know I'm willing to take the bullet. And she didn't trust the plan. I'm not saying, oh, yay, she's amazing. Yeah. But she saw it and I have a little compassion for her because we know she's a good woman. Right? She's a good woman, but she just like had to take some things in her own hands. Oh, wait, like Sarah? Oh, wait. So what happened is, who knows if we had to let that play out appropriately, what really would have happened? We don't know. Right. Maybe there wouldn't have been the warring nations. They wouldn't have been trying to kill each other and he wouldn't have had to run away. And there wouldn't have been the whole 2 wives and lied to by Laban, who knows? But we know Romans 8:28, he worked it all for our good and their good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did. And we don't know because that's not what happened. So we can assume, we can assume, well, what if she would have just gone to Isaac and said, honey, listen, I know that this is, I know that you feel real compassionate towards this son, but let me tell you, I mean, there's just all kinds of things that could have happened, but let's just trust the Father on that. And the important thing is, in the midst of it, is that where are we? And how are we doing? Are we manipulating, or are we allowing God to bring things into play? Are we manipulating people with our words, or are we trusting? Are we trusting Him? Yeah. So that's something that we all have to be dealing with, especially this week, because this week is all about the twins, and not just the twins, but the twins in here. The twins,
not those twins. that you're pointing at.
No, sorry. No, not those twins, but
Sorry.
that's okay.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. So, yeah, it's like, what is the Holy One saying right now? What are the things that are inside of you? Now, we're in the month of Kislev. This is the month. Keisha's got an amazing, she's got an amazing teaching on that on her website. And I want to just refer you to that. Anybody that wants to read it, graceintorah.net. And she talks about Kislev. It's just beautiful. But this is a month where dreams are happening. We're going to be finding out these dreams in the next couple Torah portions, and dreams are happening. These are things that are happening. And I don't mean just dreams like when you go to sleep dreams, but dreams of things that have been placed within your heart that you're yearning for. This is a time when dreams are being awakened. This is a time when things that have been, like Charlie said earlier, maybe you thought were dead, maybe you thought they can't be resurrected. This is a time when those things are going to start coming to the forefront. And so you're going to start seeing those things. And are you going to go after the things that God's promised you with manipulation? Or are you going to go after the things that God promised you by waiting on him, waiting for the moments, waiting for him to be able to speak life to you, waiting for the opportunities to arise? That's one of the things that's going on in this parsha this week, is that how we're learning that with Jacob and Esau. And Jacob, of course, in Jacob and Esau, and the ones, and Charlie, I don't know if you had a chance to, I don't think that you already said this, but on the sixth day of creation, the beasts of the field and all of the wild animals were created first, and then man was created second. The first being that the beasts were created, and the second being that man was created. Man meaning man and woman. Man was created. The first
human
serves the younger, right? The first serves the younger. We are not to serve the beast. The beast is to serve us. And so it's even in creation, we see that the first being the
last,
natural,
and the last being first,
right? Being the natural, and then man. And so inside of us, when we have that duality of those things that are going on, those thoughts, like we read in the New Testament, I would do these things, and then this happens, and I start doing this thing, and even though I want to do this, I'm not fulfilling this. That's reality. That's real life. And that's where we learn how to take our thoughts captive. And that's what the Torah does. When we're reading the Word of God, it renews our mind. It strengthens us, puts us back on track. It's like Psalm 1. It's focusing and meditating upon who he is that keeps us as trees of righteousness. It changes who we are. And that's one of the tools that we have, that we can operate with this duality of what's going on right now. So I hope that makes sense.
It did make great sense. And I think that's kind of a summing, we're at that place. It's a sum up is we have duality happening in here, and
Yeah.
we're learning about the first being last and the last being first. And that's a really great study to do for your Shabbat, the first being last and the last being first. And when does that happen? And Brenda tells you right there on day 6, it started.
Mm-hmm.
It started. We see actually the sun and the moon, we see one is the governs, and let's
right.
Oh
crazy.
yeah. Like, but let's maybe spend some time in that. What is happening? And it doesn't have to make sense. Do you really want a God that you can figure it out? A big G God that you can figure out, because a God you can figure out is a little G God. You want a God that you're like, whoa, I don't even get that. Yeah, his ways. You want a God whose ways are higher than your ways, and whose mind is higher than your mind, especially mine.
Hey, I just want to say before we quit, in Matthew 10, it's talking about, it's really good. And reading Matthew 10, if you read it on its own, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, in the sense of like, where's all this coming from? But if you read it in the sense of having just read this Torah portion, having just read about Jacob and Esau, looking in Malachi and reading about in Malachi, if you read Matthew 10, then it's going to make sense. It's like, these are the things that are going to happen before Messiah comes back. The bruised heel is an idiom for the Messiah's footprint. I don't know if you guys knew that, but when it talks about the bruised heel, it's an idiom for the Messiah's footprint. He is putting his feet on the earth. He's coming back soon, and chaos is breaking out, and the love of many will grow cold, and brothers are going to be fighting against brothers, and all this is happening, all of this chaos, right? Just like what was happening in Rebecca's womb. So when you're reading Matthew 10, if you just have that perspective, and then you're like, well, of course.
Right.
But remember, the hope is that he is returning, and that right now the kingdom is here right now. The kingdom is at hand right here, right now. How are we participating in the building of the kingdom? Right here, we have our hands right here, right now. How are we participating in building the kingdom? And that's really what we want our focus to be.
Yes,
and all of this stuff
on the chaos, like we have Rebecca focusing on the chaos, focusing on the pending chaos, focusing on, oh dear God, the Hittites are going to be the rulers,
right?
Not going to go there
right.
with political issues. But you have all these things that are happening. You're like, oh, people are freaking out, but don't let God be God. Trust the plan, trust the process. Now, in your life, as in my life, we've made the decisions where we didn't trust the plan. We manipulated and did things, and we with good intention, sometimes not, and he still works it all for our good, because we aren't powerful enough to mess the plan up, because that would be a little g God, not a big G God, if we could really mess it up. So, in wrapping it up, I just want to remind everyone that if you have not registered for the Torah Boot Camp, for all of those, the portion in the Rudy
please
Cafe,
do.
if you have not registered for the Torah Boot Camp, it's going to be November 29th through December 3rd. It's going to be every night at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Do your own math. But in that boot camp, and it will be recorded. The only thing is it's going to be recorded. I'm not going to go live into Facebook or anything. It's actually going to be an event separated out. So that's why you'll want to register so you can get in there. And then we'll also have an all access pass again. I think it's like $20 if you just wanted to get the recording so that you can listen to them whenever you wanted. And that's just to cover our costs for all that stuff. But it is, I'll tell you the nights. So the first night is going to be like an introduction, and Misty's going to be giving an introduction. It's like, so now where do we go from here? So you say you want to follow Yeshua. I thought his name was Jesus. Okay. And then the second day, Monday, is going to be all about the Shabbat. And we're going to hear from Only Love. And Only Love is going to be presenting to us with a panel is going to be coming and talking about the Shabbat, and why is that our ring, and why is that the thing on our finger that says we're different, and why do we even honor the Shabbat, and what is it? This is really for beginners. If you want, I always want to listen because I feel like I like to learn as a child, and but if you have friends or family members, this is a free. It's every single night for just like an hour, so they can jump on and watch, or again, they could just buy that pass and just watch it whenever they want, or you could give it to them for Hanukkah. But it's a really great thing for them to learn basics, and you're going to learn it from women who are loving, and they're not going to be terrorists about it. And then the next night is going to be all about the calendar. Like, why do we do these festivals? Like, why don't I celebrate Christmas anymore? And what is this all about? Did Jesus really celebrate Hanukkah? Is that even a thing? What about what are the feasts and festivals? We're going to go into the calendar. And then the next night, on Wednesday night, the 2nd, we're going to go into food. Like, what does biblical eating look like, and why does it even matter? And what is that all about? And then Thursday night's going to be a question and answer, a Q&A night, where we'll have any of the speakers, Brandon, myself, we'll have a bunch of women in there, and then they'll be able to ask questions. We'll take questions we've gotten all week, as well as anyone live with us can ask questions. It'll be a forum type to jump in there and ask questions. So if nothing else, you're like, I don't care about the other stuff, but I want to jump in on that Q&A because I have some questions in a safe place to ask them, that no one's going to be like, everyone knows that. Of course you don't do that. It's not going to be like that. You guys know that our heart is about redemption and reconciliation and helping you on your journey. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And in closing, and if you saw the little peek of that idiom class and you're like, I kind of want to do that, just get with us. I think we have our special right now for that. I hate this. I feel like an infomercial. We have our special going right now. It's half off your first month. So that makes it like $12. And that's like $25 a month. But you go in and you have a private community. You have us all the time. Maybe you don't want that. That could be sickening. That you could be like sick stomach. But you have a lot of stuff in there, and it's really
there's a lot of people
at least for a month. Let us know. We'll get that over to you. But that's it.
Brenda, what say you?
Yeah. What are the
Here's my
dates? The
commercial.
29th through November 29th through
Through December 3rd.
3rd.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I will put that back up on there. I think it's under the events, but I will post in the portion. I will post again a link on how do you register.
Thank you. Yeah. And thank you, Ina Gul, for posting the link inside this chat. I appreciate it. You know, sisters, I'm so sorry. There were so many of you chatting and I didn't get to all of your comments, but thank you so much. And we just bless you. And this Torah portion is a really good one. It's a short Torah portion. If you just sit and read it, you've got till tomorrow night at sundown. Just sit and read it and
then next year
let it absorb it. And then whatever you don't get, if you stop on the second word, you stop on the second word. And then next year maybe you'll get to the third word, or maybe you'll just get to the first word. It's okay. It's all alive and living. It's happening within you, but it's just great to have the overview of it, to see what is coming up, because we have seasons that are coming up and times and events that are coming up. We want to be prepared. So we want to have this word within us.
Amen. Amen. So y'all be blessed. We are going to stop our recording and stop all of you live. If you are on Zoom, we have an after party, so you can hang out for 15 minutes or so. And we all just chat, ask questions. So that's the reason why you want to come on the Zoom, because you can be in the after party.
And if you're in the Facebook, jump on Zoom right now. We'll let you in.
Absolutely. It's not too late. Jump in.
All right.